The deep space research vessel Horizon drifted silently through the void, its hull reflecting the distant starlight. Inside the bridge, Captain Mark Reed stared at the mysterious object on the main screen. A massive ship, at least 3 times the size of the Horizon floating dead in space. Life signs, he asked, his eyes fixed on the alien vessel's strange architecture. The ship looked like a massive arrowhead, its dark metal surface covered in what appeared to be deep gashes and burn marks. "None detected, sir," replied Officer Jane Thompson from her scanning station. "But there's significant interference. Something's blocking our deep scans." The discovery marked humanity's first encounter with alien technology beyond their solar system. The Horizon had ventured farther than any human ship before, and now they had stumbled upon what could be the greatest scientific find in human history. "Prep the boarding team," Reed ordered. "Full containment protocols. We don't know what we're dealing with here." Medical Officer Lisa Wells adjusted her helmet's seal for the 3rd time as she waited in the airlock with the boarding team. Her heart raced with excitement and fear. Years of training hadn't prepared her for this moment, actual alien contact. The team crossed the void between ships in their small shuttle. As they approached, Lisa noticed the damage looked worse up close. Whatever had happened here, it hadn't been peaceful. "These marks," Security Chief Tom Baker said, running his gloved hand along a deep gouge in the hull. "Something tried to break in, or break out." The team entered through a damaged airlock. Their boots clanked against the metal floor in the artificial gravity that still somehow functioned. Emergency lights cast an eerie red glow through the corridors. The ship's design, Lisa noted, it's meant for multiple species. She pointed to various door sizes and control panels at different heights. This was some kind of transport vessel. They found the first bodies in what appeared to be a security station. Alien corpses, unlike anything they'd seen before, lay scattered around. Some looked humanoid, others had multiple limbs or insect-like features. All showed signs of violent death. "What could have done this?" Thompson whispered, her voice shaking. The answer came in the form of deep claw marks on the walls and ceiling. Whatever had killed these beings had been powerful enough to tear through reinforced metal. In the ship's central chamber, they found it. A massive containment unit, cylindrical in shape, with warnings etched in at least a dozen different alien languages. The universal symbol for danger was repeated all around it. "Captain," Lisa called over the radio. "We've found something. Something they were keeping contained. Is it secure?" Reed's voice crackled through their comms. Before Lisa could answer, her scanner beeped. "I'm picking up life signs. Faint, but steady. Whatever's in there, it's alive." "Do not, I repeat, do not open that container," Reed ordered. "We'll bring it aboard and—" A sound from inside the container made everyone freeze. It wasn't a roar or a growl, but something more complex, almost like speech. Lisa stepped closer, ignoring Baker's warning gesture. Her scanner showed the life signs growing weaker. "It's dying," she said. "Whatever's in there needs medical attention. Protocol says we secure it. And wait for—" Baker started. Protocol wasn't written for first contact scenarios. Lisa interrupted. She moved to the container's control panel. "If we wait, it dies. We could lose our only chance to communicate with a new species. Or we could release something that killed this entire crew," Baker countered. Another sound from the container, weaker this time. Lisa's scanner showed the life signs fading. She made her decision. Her fingers flew over the alien controls, matching patterns she'd seen elsewhere on the ship. The container's surface began to turn transparent, revealing what was inside. The crew stepped back in shock. Through the clearing surface, they saw a creature unlike anything in human records. Its body seemed to shift between solid and shadow, with limbs that moved in impossible ways. But what caught Lisa's attention were its eyes. Intelligent, aware, and filled with pain. The creature was badly wounded. Green fluid leaked from multiple injuries, and its form flickered like a faulty hologram. "Captain," Lisa reported, her voice firm. "We need to bring it aboard. Now." "Negative," Reed replied. "We don't know what." The ship's emergency systems suddenly blared to life. Warning messages flashed in alien script across every screen. Multiple ships just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Thompson's voice came through their comms. "They're broadcasting warnings. They're telling us to destroy that container immediately." Lisa looked at the creature. It looked back at her. And in that moment, she saw something beyond the fear its appearance should have caused. She saw intelligence, and desperation, and hope. The future of human-alien relations hung in the balance, and Lisa Wells was about to make a decision that would change the galaxy forever. Lisa's heart pounded as the medical bay doors slid shut behind them. The creature, now secured on the examination table, watched her every move with those strange, intelligent eyes. Its shadowy form rippled like smoke under the bright lights. "This is a mistake," Captain Reed said, pacing behind the safety line they'd drawn on the floor. "We have 6 alien ships demanding we hand it over." "It needs help," Lisa replied, checking her medical scanner. The green fluid she'd seen earlier was clearly some kind of blood, and the creature was losing too much of it. "Look at these readings. Its life signs are all over the place." The creature made that strange sound again. Not quite speech, not quite song. Its form solidified slightly, revealing what looked like deep cuts across its body. Tom, the engineer, stepped forward despite Reed's warning gesture. "Those wounds, they're from energy weapons. Someone tried to execute it." Lisa nodded, "Which means it's not some mindless predator. It was imprisoned, wounded, and left to die. That's not justice. That's fear." The ship's computer chimed. "Incoming transmission from the alien fleet," Officer Thompson's voice announced over the intercom. "Put it through," Reed ordered. A harsh voice filled the medical bay, speaking in several languages before switching to heavily accented English. "Human vessel, you harbor death itself. The Shadow Hunter must be terminated. This is not a request. You have 1 hour to comply." The creature's form trembled at the voice, but its eyes stayed fixed on Lisa. Slowly, deliberately, it raised one of its shifting limbs and touched its chest, then pointed to Lisa's medical tools. "It understands," Lisa whispered. "It's asking for help. Or it's trying to trick us into getting closer," Baker argued from his position by the door, weapon ready. Lisa made her decision. She took a step forward, ignoring Reed's shout of protest. The creature remained perfectly still as she approached, its form becoming more solid, more visible. Up close, Lisa could see patterns in its skin, swirling marks that might have been natural or might have been writing. The wounds looked worse from this distance, but she noticed something else too: old scars, healed injuries that suggested a long history of violence, both given and received. "I'm going to help you," she said clearly, meeting its gaze. "But you need to stay still." The creature's response surprised everyone. It moved one limb in a perfect imitation of a human nod. Over the next 40 minutes, Lisa worked carefully to treat the wounds. The creature remained motionless except when she needed it to move, following her gestures with perfect understanding. Tom joined her, fascinated by the way the creature's biology seemed to shift between solid matter and energy. "Look at this," he said, pointing to what appeared to be cybernetic implants partially embedded in the creature's form. "These are translation matrices, advanced ones. This species isn't just intelligent. They're technologically sophisticated. Or they stole that technology," Baker countered. "The stories those aliens are broadcasting. This thing's species hunted entire civilizations to extinction." The creature's form rippled at Baker's words. It raised a limb slowly and began tracing patterns in the air. The movements were precise, deliberate. "It's trying to communicate," Lisa realized. She grabbed a tablet and held it up. "Can you write?" The creature's limb moved across the screen, leaving glowing trails that formed into complex symbols. Tom rushed to the computer. running it through our linguistic database. These match patterns we found on ancient ruins in the Centauri system. This is First League script, the oldest known civilization in the galaxy. 15 minutes until the aliens' deadline. Thompson reminded them over the intercom. The creature continued writing, faster now. Tom read the translation as it appeared. We were guardians, not hunters. We protected. They feared. They twisted truth. Help us. Lisa looked at the creature, at its intelligent eyes, at the careful way it moved to avoid frightening them, at the precision of its communication. Then she looked at Captain Reed. Sir, she said firmly, I don't think we're dealing with a mindless predator. I think we're dealing with a refugee. And if we hand it over, we're accomplices to genocide. Reed looked at the alien ships on the monitor, then at the creature. Years of training told him to play it safe, to give up the creature and avoid an interstellar incident. But something else, something uniquely human, told him Lisa was right. Thompson, he called out, plot an escape course. Baker, power up weapons. We're not giving up our patient. The creature's form solidified completely for the first time, revealing a metallic sheen to its skin. It stood up, towering over them, but its posture was not threatening. It was protective. The real test of humanity's compassion was about to begin. The Horizon raced through space, pushing its engines to their limits. Behind them, the alien fleet followed, their weapons charged but not firing. Not yet. In the medical bay, Lisa watched as the creature, whom the crew had started calling Shadow, used the tablet to share its story. Its metallic skin shifted colors as it wrote, reflecting its emotions in ways the crew was slowly learning to read. Our kind were born in darkness. Tom read from the translation display. We evolved to protect other species from the void's worst predators. We were guardians. Shadow's form rippled, creating patterns that looked like star maps. It showed scenes of ancient battles, its species fighting massive creatures that dwelled in deep space, saving countless civilizations from extinction. But something changed, Lisa said softly, watching the story unfold. The images shifted. Shadow showed its people helping build the first faster-than-light drives, establishing trade routes, protecting merchant ships. But with each scene, the other species' reactions changed from gratitude to fear. They saw our power, Tom translated as Shadow wrote. They forgot our protection. Fear became hate. Captain to medical bay. Reed's voice came through the intercom. We've got a problem. A big one. The main screen activated, showing a massive space station blocking their path. Its design matched the ship they'd found Shadow in, but this one was fully operational and bristling with weapons. They're demanding we drop out of light speed and prepare to be boarded, Reed explained. Our engines are nearly burnt out. We can't run much longer. Shadow stood up, its full height making the medical bay feel small. Its skin shifted to a deep blue, a color they'd learned meant determination. It walked to the screen and began to write again. I can help, Tom Reed. But you must trust, must understand. Lisa stepped forward. We trust you. Show us. Shadow's form flowed like liquid metal as it interfaced with the ship's computer. Immediately, ancient schematics filled the screens, detailed files about the station's construction. These are maintenance tunnels, Tom said excitedly, studying the plans. Blind spots in their security. Shadow's people helped build these stations. Can we use this? Reed asked over the comm. Shadow nodded, that human gesture it had learned, and wrote quickly. Station has old protocols. I can activate, but need access to main computer. That means letting Shadow out of the medical bay, Baker warned from his security post. Letting it move freely through the ship. Lisa looked at Shadow. The creature had shown nothing but patience and gratitude since they'd rescued it. Every story they'd heard about its species being mindless killers contradicted what she'd seen. If Shadow wanted to hurt us, it's had plenty of chances, she said firmly. Reed was quiet for a long moment. Do it, he finally ordered. As Baker reluctantly lowered the containment field, Shadow's form shifted again. Its metallic skin became less intimidating, more streamlined. Lysa realized it was deliberately making itself appear less threatening. The creature moved through the ship's corridors with surprising grace, its steps silent despite its size. The crew they passed pressed against the walls, but Shadow kept its distance, always moving in ways to avoid frightening them. In the engine room, Shadow connected to the main computer. Its form seemed to merge with the ship's systems, and ancient code scrolled across the screens. "What's happening?" Reed demanded. "The station's weapons are powering down," Thompson reported from the bridge. "Their shields, too. Some kind of override command." Shadow disconnected from the system and wrote quickly, "Old protocols still active. They feared us, but kept using our technology. Their mistake." The Horizon slipped past the station before its crew could react, diving into a nearby asteroid field that Shadow guided them through with perfect knowledge of safe passages. "Multiple ships breaking off pursuit," Thompson announced. "We're going to make it." But Shadow was already writing again, its movements urgent. "Not over. They will hunt. Must find others. Must show truth." "Others?" Lysa asked. "There are more of your kind." Shadow's skin shifted to a color they hadn't seen before, a deep purple that seemed to hold stars within it. "Few survive. Hidden. Scattered. Waiting." "Waiting for what?" Tom asked. The answer appeared on the screen. "Waiting for someone to listen, to understand, to help make peace." Lysa looked at Captain Reed on the screen, then at her fellow crew members. "Well," she said, "I think they just found those someones." Shadow's form rippled in what they now recognized as its version of approval. The creature had trusted them with its life. Now they would trust it to help them change the galaxy's oldest prejudice. The real journey was just beginning. The message from Earth Command filled the bridge with a heavy silence. Captain Reed read it twice, his face growing darker each time. "They want us to surrender, Shadow," he finally said. "Earth's government has received threats from 17 alien species. They're talking about trade sanctions, technology embargoes, even military action." Lysa stood protectively near Shadow, whose metallic skin had taken on a deep gray color. Their new friend's way of showing concern. "They can't make us give up an intelligent being for execution," she argued. "Actually, they can," Tom said, looking up from his datapad. "They've invoked Emergency Protocol 7. We're ordered to dock at Earth Station Alpha within 48 hours. Shadow moved to the main screen, its form flowing like liquid mercury. It began to write in the air, letting the ship's computer translate. "Your people should not suffer for helping me. Perhaps I should." "Don't even think about surrendering," Lysa interrupted. "We'll find another way." The creature's skin rippled with patterns they'd learned meant gratitude, but before it could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. "Multiple hull breaches," Thompson shouted from her station. "Something's burning through the outer plating." Shadow's form instantly shifted to combat mode, its edges becoming sharp, its color turning to a fierce red they'd never seen before. The creature's movements became lightning fast as it rushed toward the breach points. "Security teams, full alert," Baker called, but Shadow was already ahead of them. Through the ship's internal cameras, they watched as Shadow confronted the intruders, sleek, armored figures that had somehow bypassed their shields. The attackers fired weapons designed to disrupt Shadow's molecular structure, but the creature was ready. What followed amazed the human crew. Shadow didn't attack to kill. Instead, it used its ability to shift form to trap and disarm the intruders, protecting the crew while minimizing harm to the attackers. "Those are striker assassins," Tom said, checking the database. "Elite hunters. Someone really wants Shadow dead." "Or silenced," Lysa added, watching Shadow efficiently contain the last intruder. "Think about it. Why send assassins when they have warships, unless they're afraid of what Shadow might reveal?" The creature returned to the bridge, its form settling back into its usual metallic sheen. It immediately began writing. "They fear truth more than me. Must show you something." Shadow interfaced with the ship's computer again, but this time, instead of tactical data, it brought up ancient historical records. The screens filled with images of massive spacefaring creatures, planet-sized beings that devoured everything in their path. The Void Hunters, Tom read from the translation. First threat to all life. Only my kind could fight them, could match their ability to shift form. More images appeared. Shadow's people protecting early spacefaring races, teaching them to build safe paths through dangerous regions, standing guard over young civilizations. We were made for this. Shadow's words scrolled across the screen. Evolution shaped us to protect, not to destroy. But if that's true, Reed asked, why does everyone fear you now? Shadow's reply came slowly. Fear of power led to fear of us. Some wanted our abilities, tried to capture, study, copy. When failed, decided to destroy. Easier to call us monsters than face truth. And what is the truth? Lisa asked softly. That universe needs balance, needs guardians strong enough to face darkness, needs understanding between different kinds. Suddenly, Thompson's console lit up. Captain, Earth Station Alpha just dropped out of FTL. They're right ahead of us. On the main screen, they saw the massive station, humanity's pride, their gateway to the stars. And behind it, a fleet of Earth's most powerful ships, weapons armed. Final warning from Earth Command, Thompson reported. Dock immediately and surrender the alien creature, or be treated as hostile. Shadow's form shifted to that deep gray again, but now they could see determination in its patterns. It wrote, your people face choice all species face, fear or understanding. Whatever you choose, I thank you for showing kindness. Lisa looked at Captain Reed, then at her crewmates. In the few days they'd known Shadow, they'd learned more about true strength and wisdom than in all their years of space exploration. Reed straightened his uniform and touched his command console. Earth Command, this is Captain Reed. Request permission to address the full Planetary Council. There's something they need to know about our guest. Shadow's skin rippled with patterns of starlight. Hope. The next few hours would determine not just Shadow's fate, but humanity's place in the galaxy. They had chosen understanding over fear. Now they had to prove it was the right choice. The main hall of Earth Station Alpha had never been so crowded. Representatives from every human colony stood alongside delegates from 24 alien species. All eyes were fixed on the strange group at the center of the room. Captain Reed, Lisa, Tom, and Shadow. Shadow's metallic skin glowed softly under the harsh lights, its form carefully maintained in a non-threatening shape. The creature had insisted on appearing unrestrained, wanting to show trust. This is madness, the Galactic Council's chief representative thundered. That creature is the last of the Shadow Hunters, the most dangerous predators ever known. Then why hasn't it harmed any of us? Lisa challenged, stepping forward. We've had Shadow aboard our ship for days. It's had countless chances to kill us all. Tom connected his tablet to the hull's main display system. With Shadow's help, we've decoded records from the ancient ruins on Centauri Prime. Records that some people tried very hard to keep hidden. The screens came alive with images that made the alien delegates shift uncomfortably. They showed Shadow species working alongside the earliest spacefaring races, building the foundations of galactic civilization. These records show that the Shadow Hunters weren't predators, Tom explained. They were peacekeepers, guardians created by evolution itself to protect younger species from real cosmic horrors. Shadow moved to the center of the room, its movements slow and deliberate. The alien delegates tensed, but the creature simply raised its limb and began to write in the air. The words appeared on all screens in multiple languages. Show them the Void Gate records. Tom nodded and brought up new footage. The images showed massive tiers in space, Dimensional rifts that leaked to darkness and horror. Creatures the size of moons tried to force their way through, only to be driven back by beings that looked like shadow. The shadow hunters were our first and strongest defense against extra-dimensional predators, Tom continued. They didn't just fight them. They sealed the rifts, created the safe space lanes we still use today. Lies, shouted one delegate. If they were protectors, why did they attack our worlds? Shadow's response appeared instantly. We never attacked. We defended. Show them the Gamma Sector records. Lisa stepped forward again. We found proof that the supposed attacks were actually the shadow hunters stopping illegal experiments. Certain species were trying to harvest their abilities, creating weapons that could have destroyed entire systems. The hall erupted in shouts and denials, but Shadow remained perfectly still. Its skin began to glow brighter, and suddenly, holographic images appeared around it, projecting directly from its body. The images showed Shadow's memories, its people teaching early races how to navigate space safely, protecting ships from cosmic storms, sealing dimensional rifts that threatened to consume worlds. But then the memories turned darker, showing how fear and greed led to betrayal. We could have shared knowledge safely, Shadow wrote. Instead, they chose fear, chose to make us monsters, easier to destroy than understand. Captain Reed addressed the human delegates. Earth stands at a crossroads. We can give in to fear like others did, or we can show the galaxy a better way. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. Thompson's voice came through the emergency channel. Captain, multiple ships just dropped out of FTL. They're charging weapons. The alien delegates began to panic, but Shadow moved faster than anyone could follow. Its form spread out, creating a protective barrier between the crowd and the external walls. They're going to fire, Thompson warned. Shadow's written words flashed urgently. Trust me, like you did before. Lisa looked at Captain Reed, who nodded. Reed grabbed the station's command console. All stations, lower shields on my mark. You'll kill us all, someone screamed. But Reed had seen what Shadow was doing. The creature's form had begun to resonate at a specific frequency, the same one they'd discovered in the ancient records. Now, Reed ordered. The shields dropped, the enemy ships fired, and Shadow expanded, its form transforming into something ancient and powerful. The attacks hit Shadow's barrier and simply vanished. In that moment, everyone in the hall saw what the ancient records had tried to preserve, the true form of a guardian. A protector evolved to shield life itself. Shadow's words appeared one last time. This is what we were meant to be. Not killers, not monsters, guardians. Will you help us be this again? The silence that followed would change the galaxy forever. The aftermath of Shadow's display of power left Earth Station Alpha in stunned silence. The creature's protective barrier slowly retracted, its form returning to its usual metallic sheen. But everything had changed. They had all witnessed the truth, the raw power of protection, not destruction. The peace didn't last long. Station alert. Thompson's voice rang out. Earth Defense Fleet approaching. They're not responding to hails. On the main screens, dozens of humanity's most powerful warships appeared, weapons charged. Admiral West's face filled the central display. This is your final warning, the Admiral announced. Hand over the alien creature. Earth's security comes first. Lisa stepped forward, her voice steady. With all respect, Admiral, Earth's security isn't at risk. Shadow just saved everyone on this station, humans and aliens alike. We saw the power that thing has, West replied coldly. That makes it a threat. Shadow moved beside Lisa, its form rippling with what she now recognized as sadness. It began to write. History repeats. Fear wins again. No, Lisa said firmly. Not this time. She grabbed the communication controls and started broadcasting on all frequencies. This is Medical Officer Lisa Wells. I'm sending proof of what we've discovered about the Shadow Hunters. Everyone needs to see this. Tom quickly helped her transmit their findings. The ancient records, the proof of Shadow's species protecting younger races, the truth about the Void Gates. The data went out to every ship, every colony, every news network. "Stop that transmission," Admiral West ordered. But it was too late. The truth was spreading. On the screens around them, they could see the data being shared and reshared across the galaxy. Shadow suddenly tensed. Its skin shifted to warning colors they'd learned to recognize. "More rifts opening," it wrote quickly. "They come. The ancient enemies return." The station's sensors confirmed it. Massive tiers in space were appearing, just like in the ancient records. Through them came horrors that defied description, drawn by the concentration of ships and power. "All vessels, open fire," Admiral West commanded. But their weapons passed harmlessly through the dimensional creatures. Shadow's warning flashed across all screens. "Your weapons cannot touch them. Only we can fight them. Only we can protect." The creature turned to Lisa. "Trust goes both ways," it wrote. "Will you help me protect them, even those who fear me?" Lisa didn't hesitate. "What do you need?" "The station's power. Channel it through me." Like the ancients did, Tom jumped to the engineering controls. "I can reroute the main reactor's energy, but it could kill you, Shadow." Shadow's response was simple: "Worth the risk. To show truth." Captain Reed took command. "Do it. And get me a channel to the defense fleet." As Tom worked, Reed addressed the fleet. "Admiral West, hold your fire. You're about to see why the Shadow Hunters were called Guardians." The station's lights dimmed as its power flowed into Shadow. The creature's form expanded, growing until it filled the space between the station and the dimensional horrors. Its metallic skin began to shine with ancient patterns, the same patterns they'd found in the ruins. The void creatures struck, their massive forms threatening to tear reality apart. But Shadow met them head-on. Its body became a barrier of pure energy, pushing the horrors back through their rifts. Everyone watched in awe as one creature, drawing power from those it chose to protect, fought back beings that entire fleets couldn't touch. "My God," Admiral West whispered, "it's not attacking them. It's sealing the rifts, protecting us." Shadow's form began to flicker as the strain took its toll. The last rift was closing, but the creature's energy was fading fast. "Shadow," Lisa called out. "Hold on." Then something unexpected happened. Other ships, human vessels, alien cruisers, even Admiral West's flagship, began directing their power toward Shadow, just as the station was doing. Shadow absorbed their freely given energy, its form stabilizing. With one final surge of power, it sealed the last rift. As Shadow returned to the station, its form barely holding together, Admiral West's new message surprised everyone. "All vessels, stand down. I've seen enough." He paused. "It seems we owe both an apology and our thanks." Shadow's weak but triumphant message appeared. "Not monster. Not weapon. Guardian. Protector. Friend." Lisa caught the creature as it collapsed, its form finally giving in to exhaustion. But she was smiling. They had done it. Fear had given way to understanding. Now they just had to help Shadow survive to see its victory. 3 months after the battle at Earth Station Alpha, Lisa stood in the newly constructed Galactic Unity Center. The massive structure, built on Earth's moon, served as a symbol of the changes Shadow had inspired. Shadow itself stood beside her, fully recovered, its metallic skin gleaming with health. The creature had grown comfortable enough to let its form flow more naturally now, no longer feeling the need to appear less intimidating. People had learned to see beauty in its shifting patterns. "The first transport of survivors arrives today," Tom announced, checking his datapad. After Shadow's dramatic defense of the station, other members of its species had begun emerging from hiding. 7 more Guardians coming home. Lisa smiled at the word home. Earth had officially become a sanctuary for Shadow's people, now properly known as the Guardians. The decision had transformed humanity's place in galactic politics. Others still fear. Shadow wrote in the air, its movements graceful, but fear less each day. The creature was right. Regular broadcasts of Guardians helping to seal dangerous rifts in space, protect ships from cosmic storms, and guide vessels through treacherous regions had changed many minds. It was harder to fear someone who repeatedly risked their life to save others. The main doors opened, and a group of alien children entered the center. They were part of the new education program, young representatives from various species, learning the true history of the galaxy. To everyone's surprise, the children showed no fear of Shadow. Instead, they gathered around excitedly. Shadow's form shifted into patterns that Lisa now recognized as happiness. The creature had discovered a joy in teaching. Its ability to project memories made history lessons come alive, showing young minds the wonders of space and the importance of understanding over fear. "Watch," Shadow wrote, and began to project images around the children. The images showed the earliest days of space travel, tiny ships venturing into the unknown, protected by Guardian escorts. The children gasped as they saw how their ancestors had worked together to build the first space stations, create the safe travel routes, and face cosmic dangers. "Is it true?" one young alien asked. "Did your people really fight the Dark Ones to protect us?" Shadow's response appeared gently. "We fought so you would not have to. We still fight. But now we also teach. Both are important." Captain Reed entered the chamber, now wearing the insignia of Earth's new Guardian Alliance. "The council session is about to begin," he announced. "They're ready for your presentation, Shadow." The creature had been helping design new safety protocols for space travel, combining ancient Guardian knowledge with modern technology. Its insights had already saved countless lives. As they walked to the council chamber, Lisa noticed new patterns flowing across Shadow's skin, symbols she didn't recognize. "What are those?" she asked. "Names," Shadow wrote, "of my people who died protecting others. We honor them by continuing their work." The council chamber was packed with representatives from across the galaxy. Many were species that had once hunted the Guardians. Now they came seeking help, understanding, and forgiveness. Shadow took its place at the center of the chamber. Instead of fear, its presence now commanded respect. The creature began its presentation, showing how the combined efforts of Guardians and other species could make space travel safer than ever before. Lisa watched proudly. She remembered the frightened creature they'd found in that containment unit and marveled at how far they'd come. Shadow had shown them that true strength lay not in the ability to destroy, but in the choice to protect. "Humans taught me something important," Shadow wrote during a break in the presentation. "Courage is not about being fearless. Courage is choosing to understand what you fear." Tom smiled. "And you taught us that appearances can be deceiving, that the most fearsome-looking creature might have the gentlest heart." As if to demonstrate this, Shadow created a small light show for a group of children who had wandered into the chamber. The kids laughed as tiny stars danced around them, their joy echoing through the room. "This is better than hiding," Shadow wrote. "Better than fear. This is what we were meant to be." Lisa touched the creature's metallic surface gently. "You know what I think? I think this is just the beginning." Shadow's form rippled with agreement. The galaxy was changing, one act of understanding at a time. And it all started because one human crew chose to look past fear and see the truth. Sometimes the most dangerous-looking creature could become the most valuable friend. All it took was the courage to understand.